New York native Bob Baldwin, born with a perfect pitch and destined to produce some of the most alluring compositions the world has ever heard. Having owned all but 7 of 35 recordings, music phenomenon has room to boast of longevity and sustainability. The Grammy-nominated Sony Innovator Award winner has recorded on nearly 7 continents and is a highly sought-after composer-producer for iconic performers such as Will Downing, co-writer and co-producer of 2 songs on the All You Need album, which was nominated for a Grammy Award in 2000 for Best Traditional R&B Album. The creative has also penned songs for Grover Washington Jr., Richard Elliott, Paul Brown, and the list goes on. Join us for an exclusive one-on-one conversation with legendary music composer Bob Baldwin in the Unsigned Artistryville Worldwide New York studio. Hey everybody, and welcome to another edition of Unsigned Artistryville Worldwide. I'm your host, Sabrina Taylor. I am happy that you are here. I have someone very special that I'm really glad to see. Hadn't seen him in ages, and it was like old friends. We are old friends, I think. Reconnecting, and so tonight you get an opportunity to meet this fellow friend of mine. But before we get to the guest tonight, I want you to get your hand held. Yes, please. Get your hand held. I want you to share. I want you to invite. Let everybody know Unsigned Artistryville Worldwide is on the air here in our New York studio. We are just happy to have all of you guys flooding in. I see you coming up. I see you in the window there. Chats are coming up. I won't be able to do a lot of chatting because I really want to focus on the guest tonight. Now, mind you, we are going to look through all of the comments. I guess I'll go ahead and say his name because I've been promoting him all week. Bob Baldwin is going to go through the chat. So this commits him even more. He's going to go through the chat and he's going to look at every comment and he's going to respond personally. So while I'm talking about Bob Baldwin, how about I just bring him on so he can say hello to the Unsigned Artistryville Worldwide family? Oh, Bob Baldwin!
How are you?
Hey, it's been
long time, my buddy. How you feeling?
It's been so long. I'm absolutely fantabulous. I'm great. I'm awesome, and it's so good to see you again. Yeah.
Well, COVID made a lot of us stronger, and I think
yes.
I could put you in that number for sure.
Thank you so much. So good to see you. You look good. You don't look a day older than when I saw you. How many? 4 years ago?
Yeah, 19, I believe.
At 2019. Yeah. Jeez.
Time flies when you're having fun.
I know, right? So kind of catch me up from that moment until now. What has Bob Baldwin been doing?
Well, a combination of music and life, kind of encapsulates what I've been doing. First of all, COVID hit, and in 2020,
yep,
I stayed home. First of all, I found out about COVID, the hint of COVID, on a jazz cruise, the Capital Jazz Cruise, in January of 2020.
Really?
Yeah, and that the second to last day, they shut down the food bar. They started passing out the hand sanitizers. I'm like, what the H is going on here?
Yeah, sure.
And then I hear that Norman Brown had canceled his show, so he was down for the count. And I went home. I heard. Then a few days later, we hear about this COVID thing, and
wow.
There's 2 things that I did right away. I made sure I changed my diet completely so that I would not keep my resistance high.
Yeah.
I just stayed home and I worked on about 60 songs in 5 months.
Whoa, wait.
I just went all the way in.
My mind is still on 60 back there. 60
songs. I was grinding records out like you would not believe. And it ended up being the albums that are out now, including the 2 we're going to talk about today.
But exactly. So part of the thing that, and I don't know how you didn't get involved in this, during that time, COVID was really playing on the minds of a lot of artists. They were, going through states of depression and couldn't grasp the creative parts of themselves, And so, but I noticed as I scrolled through Facebook, there were certain artists that were still going strong. Now, mind you, they weren't being like superheroes. They didn't know they were, actually. But they were just, all they knew is to get through this, I've got to do something.
Right.
So I would see them on Facebook doing their lives, and it hit me. Why don't I do something to help create unity with the independent artists?
Nice.
And we called it something like Indie Creatives United, Stronger Together. Norman Brown, he was like the supernova. And Nathan Mitchell, Lynn Roundtree, Mike Manson. I had all these people.
Nice.
Yeah. And we did it simply to encourage the creative to stay unified. There's strength in numbers.
Correct.
Yeah. And so we just wanted to encourage them. Look, we know everybody's facing it. Even these who are in front of you are facing it, right?
Oh, yeah.
But the thing is, you can't stop no matter what.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. I totally agree with you 100%. Like we talked offline, if you were kind of on the precipice right before COVID hit and you didn't really have it all together, for a lot of people, it fell apart and had to regroup real quick. One of the biggest things that I noticed that the touring artists got a lot of calls from touring artists whose shows were completely flatlined for 12 months, and they all realized at that point that they had to have another bird in the nest, if you know what I mean.
Sure.
And so a lot of them went out and bought equipment and started recording again.
Yay!
Yeah, and it was actually a benefit for the listeners, because now over the last couple of years we've gotten a lot of product out there, a lot of good product, and a lot of really insightful music from artists that we might not have heard from as quickly. So right. I think COVID kept everybody home and kept everybody focused on doing something different.
Right.
You look in the mirror and you find out, okay, what are my weaknesses? Where did I fail here? Why is this not working out right now? And then you go inside and you regroup. You figure out what your strengths are, who you are, who your friends are.
Right.
Sometimes you gotta trim the circle, because the circle might have been too big, and people who you thought who had your back, you find out they didn't.
You trim the fat, huh, Bob?
Trim the fat, baby.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. My mother got sick in 2019. She had a brain operation.
I remember that. Yes.
We talked about that.
Yes.
And so she had to get home health care and all that. So I had to be healthcare proxy, power of attorney.
Wow.
Kind of the caretaker, overseer, not so much the hands-on every day.
Right.
But I had to manage that whole process. And then my sister got sick during COVID. So and she was taking care of my mother. So I ended up being the overseer of both of them, even today. Yeah, my sister's in a nursing home right now.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Hopefully she'll be out in the next month or so. But
yeah.
So you had that to deal with.
Right.
With all that said, I still did 60 songs.
That is amazing. I'm still stuck on 60. Man, some people can get one out and you got 60.
Yeah, I wanted to get focused. So the album that came out during COVID was, I believe, Henna.
I remember that.
In 2020 or 2021. And then I had a record called The New Urban Jazz, I don't even remember my own titles. That's terrible.
It's okay.
An Urban Smooth Sweet.
So, yes, indeed.
That was mostly an R&B project.
Right.
And then then the year of COVID 2020, I did a live stream project.
Yeah.
And it was basically just to do some of the things that you mentioned, just to keep the listeners and musicians engaged.
Right. Mm-hmm.
I was surprised that only a couple of artists actually did some really well produced, well thought of, not a mic in your bedroom and playing and singing solo to a click track.
Gotcha.
So I wanted to put together this production. So I called it the Stay at Home Series Volume 1.
I remember that.
Yeah. Yep. And that record ended up getting an award, the Jazz Music Award, Best Contemporary Record. So it wasn't planned. It was just something I wanted to do for my listeners, for my fan base, for people who wanted to hear music. Period. So a lot of things altered during COVID, but I'm blessed to say that on the other side, I'm still standing tall.
And you know what, Bob? You said something very interesting. Loved it. Circling back to hearing you say it wasn't planned. I did it for the listener. Now, let me qualify this because I don't want any inboxes, okay, after the show from anybody. But when I find that artists are truly doing it for the fans, and that is their main goal. We all have goals, lofty as they may be. Still, it's the music is for the people, right? Okay, because we're servants.
Right.
I'm not here for me. I'm here for Bob.
Mm-hmm.
Bob is not here for himself. Mm-hmm. He's here for Sabrina, right? Mm-hmm. So when we serve each other from the heart with passion, now God can say, okay, I can use that because it's not tainted with motives. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. And to that point, I had a record deal. This answer kind of ties into why I'm independent. I had a record deal with Atlantic Jazz 30 years ago.
I remember that. Yes.
Yeah. My label mates were Gerald Albright, Paul Jackson Jr., Bobby Lyle, a young cat named Hiram Bullock who passed away, guitar player, fantastic musician. And it was under the WIA label, the Warner Elektra Atlantic umbrella.
Yeah.
Sylvia Rohn was the president at the time, and she was on the precipice of really building a platform for African American female artists, like in Vogue, and she put Yolanda Adams on the map, on a bigger platform from her smaller gospel label. But what you're saying is that when I signed to that label, there was some weird stuff going down. A lot of the labels, the major labels, what they would do, they would take your music that's done, and then they would add subliminal audio underneath it without the knowledge of the artist. And we don't know what's in these subliminal messages. But when I heard about that, it kind of disturbed me because I want to be able to kind of control the artistic process from the beginning.
Sure.
When it goes out the door. So when someone's altering something that's yours, that you expect it to go out the way that you let it go as.
Of course.
And so when I heard that compromise go down, that was one of the reasons why I went indie. The other reason was, of course, the royalty statements were absolutely horrific. I call the music business statements the Ponzi scheme of
Oh my God!
There's some Ponzi scheme accounting going down with the major labels. They give you all this money up front.
They do.
And, these deals are front loaded, but when the deal is done and the record dries up and you got to walk away, you don't own your masters. You don't have any control of where they go, and so you just kind of like you convert yourself into I call it a rented artist. You're renting your own music to a bigger entity.
Absolutely. Yes.
So it's one of the reasons why I went indie, but I before I put the music out, I always prayed over it.
Did you?
To the original point, I always prayed over it because my aunt always prayed she before the records went out. She always prayed before it went out.
Yeah.
She was 50 years older than me, and one of my spiritual advisors, if you will.
Sure.
So, but to your point, I want the music to touch people. I want music to heal people. I want music to inspire people.
Absolutely.
If I wanted to make money, I wouldn't be doing jazz, Sabrina.
I know.
Doing hip hop or R&B or something.
R&B, right?
I mean,
exactly.
Come on, jazz is 3% of the market. Nobody's pays.
Nobody's doing exactly. Exactly.
So the music is about, for me, the music is about touching the next spirit. I've gotten emails from people who were in the service and like, I took your music into the hole with me when I'm in war at Afghanistan. I had a lady say she had cancer. She had gone to chemo like twice a week. She said, I took your music into the chemo room with me. And when I hear stuff like that, nothing else matters.
Nothing. No. Wow, geez. I definitely, there's so much I want to talk about. We got 2 breaks tonight, so I got to get to the first one.
Okay.
And so when we come back, I don't even know where to start with you because you got so much great music, so much great information. You're layered. And so, but we'll find the perfect spot. Don't you worry about that. So hang out with me, Bob.
Okay.
And everybody, thank you so much for coming on board tonight. Aren't you glad you tuned in? I am. I'm so happy you're here. But look, don't go away. We've got to take one quick break. We'll be back with our special guest, Grammy-nominated Bob Baldwin. The Platinum Agencies is taking the indie brand to the next level with customized strategies that include interviews on unsigned artist reveal worldwide, as well as campaigns on social media. Listen to what these artists have to say about us. Soul R&B artist Selena Albright says, I believe in the Platinum Agencies and the amazing things it will continue to do for independent artists in the future. Not only does Sabrina Taylor have an ear for the best-kept secrets in the music industry, but in a market where independently made music tends to be greatly overshadowed, her platform offers a unique opportunity for all artists to be heard. Some of my favorite interviews of my career have been with Sabrina Taylor. She really knows how to ask the right questions to capture the hidden story behind the music that fans want to hear. And I've always been so moved by her ability to pair her original imagery to my music whenever I visit her platform. Soul jazz artist Cherie Patrice says, UAR is a great platform and source for indie artists to promote, expound, and extend their brand. You can always count on UAR to capture the essence, the heart, and the soul of an indie artist within its presentation. I always feel welcomed, celebrated, and in good hands with its CEO and founder, Sabrina Taylor, who puts her grand touch of elegance and excellence on every artist she comes in contact with. I highly endorse the UAR worldwide experience. Connect with the Platinum Agencies at tpatheplatinum.agencies.com. Well, hey everybody, welcome back. If you are just joining us, this is Bob's first time on the Unsigned Artist Reveal Worldwide. And quickly, for those who don't understand why I have Unsigned Artist Reveal Worldwide, in the days of old, and Bob, you could probably attest to this, you were either signed to a major or you weren't. I mean, there was no such thing as... there were some people who might have been independent, but the explosion didn't happen until recent years. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And so when I launched this several years back, it was on the cusp of that. Is that either there was a major artist on a major label, or, I know there were independent artists, but of course, again, at that point, people weren't looking at them as, oh, this is a... Who can give me an example of that?
Well, Will Downing was on a major artist.
He was.
And he jumped off.
Mesa.
Another one.
Uh-huh. Yep. Yeah.
Gerald Albright.
That's right. So see, these are the examples. And this is why I developed this.
They finally listened to me.
Hello.
I'm just kidding.
And it's not to downplay or disrespect the independent artist. And so and the reason I'm mentioning this is because I've really gotten flack off of artists currently, who are in the industry. Well, I'm not going on the platform because I'm signed. And I know you have your own label. And when they come on, I purposely like to share, their label and the reason they decided to be independent. So I totally make light of them being on their own labels. And so I just sometimes have to explain to people what the reasoning was behind the brand. And
people get a little sensitive, sometimes petty.
Overly. Yeah.
Artists are emotional.
I know. I
get it.
I do too, and I respect that. I mean, because the work you guys do, we don't know the half of it. And I was sharing and touched on it. Eric Essex was on last week. Oh,
nice, my dude.
Mm-hmm. He was on, and I kind of mentioned at the end that we don't know what goes on, behind the making of a single CD, whatever that project is. There's so much involved, and so we just hear the end result.
That's right. You taste the pie when it's out of the oven.
Exactly.
But all making the pie.
Exactly, and then the oops, and then we burned the pie.
Exactly. We got to go back in. Yeah, you're right. You're right. It's a process.
I know. It'd be good if somebody could just take the reins on this and just kind of walk us through video-wise, of project.
A day-by-day, blow-by-blow experience, huh?
That'd be so cool. That'd be so cool. Somebody's gonna do it.
I'm sure. Okay. No taking.
Indeed. But Bob, you have, you've come from the major label world. Now you're in the independent world of music. How do you share with us your idea of the difference between the two?
Well, I think the indie world increased because there was less labels to sign to. Why were there less labels to sign to? Well, we can go into a plethora of reasons. Let's talk about the free MP3 that they gave away for dozens of years, where people were stealing, music online, or you go on YouTube, listen to music, you're not paying anybody for it. You have Napster that came in and just pretty much wiped the whole industry out. When for $10 a month, you could download 8 million songs in a month and not pay anybody. Someone is going to get screwed during that process.
True.
And that's when the indie thing started to take off, because musicians still wanted to create, they still wanted to put music out, they still had a statement, but they didn't have the platform. So we created our own platform. And over the last 3 to 4 years, the numbers are going up. At some point, the industry is going to have to take the independent artists seriously, because a lot of the majors artists who were signed are now independent.
That's right.
And the thing is, what they've all realized, when we go back to the the accounting Ponzi scheme of the major labels. You find that the independent artist makes a lot more money per unit than if they were sitting on a major label. Now the major label gives you the platform, they give you the visibility.
They do.
They put you at a little higher plane. That doesn't make that artist better than the indie artist.
Correct.
More money, more resources, thrown at them. So that's the downside of being an indie. You got to fund your own record.
Yep.
You have to, from the production to the marketing. So sometimes artists run out of money in the process. They might run out of money at the production end of it, or they might get the record done and they don't have any money left to promote
it. Exactly.
So it's a very, very delicate balance, and that's when you have to have a business sense at that point. My dad always told me to keep the analytical and creative right straight in the middle.
Right.
Because if you get too creative, then you're not handling your business, and you could get burned at some point. Yeah. I mean, how many artists have we seen where they just wanted to go on the road and entrusted their business to
their accountant, manager. Yep. Mm-hmm.
And they got completely, obliterated. You know what I mean?
Correct.
So you gotta handle your business. You gotta understand the industry, and then you also have to keep your creative piece going so that you can combine, both entities together and become a successful independent artist.
Right. Right. Wow. So, how many, Bob? And I'm sure it's an unbelievable number. How many albums to date have you released?
I not counting the 2 that are coming out in June.
Right.
35, and I own. I did a count last week. I own 30 of the 35 currently.
Whoa.
Yeah, the Atlantic records I don't own.
You still don't? Are you going to go after those, do you think?
At some point, I'd like to have a conversation.
Yeah.
The very first record I did was on an indie label in Jackson, Mississippi.
Malico Records.
Yes, my first record came on Malico. You want to hear a funny Malico story?
Okay, yay.
Danny Weiss, who now is the overseer of Shawnee.
Yes.
He's kind of the brainchild behind Shawnee.
Got it.
Prior to Shawnee, there was Malico Jazz.
Right.
Danny was trying to make Malico Jazz what Shawnee is today. So now they can see where they missed the mark there. So the first records we did was a record by Tom Brown called No Longer I. It was one of the first gospel jazz projects I had to be a part of, 1987. Okay. And then they had a Bobby Humphrey record. And then I had a project which was more of a production project called The Dream. And the album's called I've Got a Long Way to Go.
Right.
And so Danny Weiss was the mastermind behind that project, the Malico Jazz project. So the record comes out, and I'm getting crazy airplay in the Northeast, Boston, DC, Philly, New York, pretty much down the Carolinas.
What?
And you cannot find the record north of
Virginia. What? No way, Bob.
Oh, it was a disaster. Absolute disaster. Everybody on the label was like, we can't do this. We can't do this. We're getting airplay way up here, and you can't find the record anywhere. Nowhere. I mean, at that time, records were the thing. Tower Records was hot.
Yep.
Blockbuster was still moving.
I know.
And we couldn't find that record we wanted to. It was nowhere to be found.
That's amazing.
So we lost a ton of sales, and Danny was like, "Nah, we gotta wrap this up." So then he went over to Shawnee, and Shawnee is who they are now.
Still going. So, but with you though, I want to touch on the fact that now, speaking of, you've got 60 songs that you worked on during COVID, and then now we are hearing or about to hear some of that music in straight ahead and contemporary jazz.
Yes.
Why 2 albums at one time? What's the sense? What's the vision? What's the goal in that? Tell me about it.
Well, everybody already knows me in smooth and contemporary, so
of course.
There's still those who don't know, and that's okay.
Yeah.
But I wanted to just kind of, create a different lane, if you will.
Sure.
I grew up listening to straight ahead music. My dad taught me how to play taught me music when I was like 5. First piano lessons when I was like 7. I used to be in the living room with him with the phonograph and listen to all these great jazz records, Dizzy Gillespie and Art Tatum and Oscar Peterson was one of his favorites. You had Bud Powell, you had Errol Garner, and these guys, and all these cats played fast. I mean, they were like technicians at their craft. I was like, Dad, I can't play like that. They sound like they got 3 hands, So I remember when I was about 5 or 6 years old, I was in the back room reading my Peanuts comic magazine, and Dad would have his friends in the living room with the piano, and he would play a note just out of the clear blue. Hey, son. Yeah, Dad. What's up? He'd play a note, and I would call the note out. I'm like 5, 6 years old, and not even knowing exactly, what's that. I would call it out by the letter.
Wow.
And, so his friends were like, "Man, that's a scam. Your son, he can't do that." And so Dad was like, "Oh, you play a note then," and he played a note, and I'd call it out again. It was like, man. So they realized at that point I had perfect pitch. And funny story, when I was in like the second grade, and I was scatting to myself, but loud enough for the teacher to hear me. And it was third grade, and we were doing math. And I was doing the math. We were supposed to be doing homework, and there was like nothing on my paper. But I knew
he's the musician. He just wants to play music.
There was I had the answers were right. The answers were right, but there was no like notes.
Oh, got it.
I was doing it all in my head.
All in your head.
And the teacher thought I was cheating. And then she heard me scatting, and then she thought I had some kind of learning disability. So we had it was just getting really, really bad.
Oh, that's too funny.
It was bad. So they had to call my father, call my mother. We're gonna have a meeting, Oh, your son is making these weird noises in the room.
I love it.
I don't see any notes on his paper. And so Dad goes, Dad goes, was he doing something like this? I did that move up, and he started scatting. He's like, yes, that's it. I said, man, that's jazz.
Oh my God,
that's jazz.
Oh, my stomach hurts. That is so funny.
So they left me alone after that.
Oh,
but what we all learned at that point was that music had a tie-in between music and math.
Sure.
So if you could do the music in your head, you could also do calculations.
Oh, that's cool.
Basic calculations. So the music helped the mathematical acumen kind of develop sooner for me. But that was a hilarious story.
Oh, I had never heard.
I can't make this stuff up. This is like real stuff.
Oh my God. Oh goodness. So I want to know from you, so we already know your dad was a major influence. What about your mother?
Mom was, she loved music, but she wasn't a musician.
Really?
But
Okay.
on my mother's side was a cousin who was a fantastic musician, Larry Willis.
Okay.
Larry Willis was one of the original members of the group Blood, Sweat, and Tears back in the 60s.
Yeah.
Went to high school. They grew up in Harlem. Went to high school with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and played basketball with him in high school.
How cool is that?
That's cool. And
cool.
Then after going to service for a couple of years, came back home, went to school at Manhattan School of Music, and met Hugh Masekela back in 1968 or 9 or so.
Right. And
they became very good friends, and he toured back and forth down in South Africa all the time, and they recorded up until till Hugh passed away. But Hugh was up here during apartheid.
Okay.
And during that time, musicians couldn't record, couldn't release music, couldn't do anything in South Africa. So he came to New York and became a huge star. And of course, with Mariam Makeba and some of the other great artists of that era.
Right.
So Larry was kind of like my godfather, because he traveled to places that I really wanted to go to, which later on did. So
yeah.
So dad and my cousin on my mother's side inspired that album, Songs My Father Would Dig, and that was kind of like my first voice before smooth and contemporary kicked in. It was all about the piano, bass, and drums, the trio, and that era of jazz with Miles Davis and Bill Evans. It was such a melodic sound during the 60s, and that was kind of my era. If I had to pick any era of jazz, right, that is my era. So I wanted to recreate that era on this album. I played on a 100-year-old piano, 100-year-old.
No way.
It was fully refurbished, and the guy had 6 mics on it. It was absolutely breathtaking.
Amazing.
It was like the difference between driving a Pinto and driving a Mercedes. You drive the Pinto, you turn the wheel, the car might turn.
Might.
You hit a pothole, your car might blow up.
Yeah, that's it. That's it.
Tires explode, but the Mercedes is nice and smooth, it's tight. You make that turn. The piano felt like it was really a well-oiled machine. It was a joy to play on.
Wow. So let's great segue into the straight ahead album that you have out, Equinox. Talk about
John Coltrane. John Coltrane. The original had McCoy Tyner on piano, and of course, John was. Listening to John, his music was very spiritual. He could take one chord and just play over it for minutes, and it would never be boring. It would always be exciting. It would always take you someplace. He was a very creative artist and a great composer, and that's why people revere what John Coltrane is, because his sound was so spiritual.
Right.
You listen to in the current Kamasi Washington. Kind of reminds me of a young Coltrane. But that song is just a really special tune. And I remember Kenny Garrett covered it about 15, 20 years ago as well. But it's just a simple tune, simple melody, but it's how you interpret those harmonies. And that was the first take. That was the first record we did on that day. We did 11. By the 11th song, I was wiped out. My fingers were like,
I'm sure.
I can't play no more. Give me the ice.
Oh my God.
It was hard because you're playing on wood. It's like, this is wood, ivories, man, and you're pushing a 9. It's a 9-foot grand, so your note is trying to hit a.
Yeah, I get it.
What do you call it?
That's right.
It takes work.
It
takes work. I admire the jazz straight ahead guys that do it full time. It's amazing. I mean, the McCoy Tyners.
Yes.
What a monstrous piano. And of course, Herbie. Amazing. And Oscar Peterson, which my
my God, love Oscar Peterson.
So it is work, but we caught that one on the first take, and we wanted to be sensitive and
sure,
but jazzy and 1960s. That vibe. That's what we were going for.
Listen, we've got to talk more about the album, and then we're going to get into the contemporary side. I almost forgot I had one more break. Man, this is so good. This is too good. So, Bob, we'll be back with you in just a few minutes.
Okay.
And we want you guys to stick around. We've got a lot of music to talk about. Short time to do it. I promise you, we're going to get to the coveted music premiere on tonight. You don't want to miss it. So hang out with us. We'll return in just a little bit. Okay.
Join us every Monday at 7:30 p.m. Central Standard Time to hear the stories of artists you love and discover artists you'll learn to love on Unsigned Artist Reveal Worldwide via Facebook and YouTube. We are expanding.
You can locate us on 7 affiliate radio stations,
rebroadcasting Unsigned Artist Reveal Worldwide segments around the globe. Come on, join the indie community.
So thanks so much for staying the long haul with us. Love my guest on tonight. Grammy nominated Bob Baldwin is with us tonight, and this guy is just a beast on keys. And I've had so many comments in the promotion section of comments that, I am there 100%, and oh my God, Bob's amazing. And absolutely, he totally is. If you don't know Bob Baldwin, or if you didn't know him, now you know, and you've definitely got to connect. We'll make sure we put up all the social handles on tonight so that you can follow him on social, Facebook, Instagram, wherever he hangs out, and definitely want you to download his music. Bob, you were talking about the Straight Ahead CD. Now, what's the name? What's the title?
The name of the album is called Songs My Father Would Dig. That was one of his favorite words. Can you dig it, Bob? Can you dig it? Even my mother in 94 talking about, I'll dig you later. I'm like, get out of here.
You stole about Mom, that. You stole that.
I'm trying to get hip in 94.
Oh,
I'll
wow.
dig you later, son.
Oh, my goodness.
So that's the name of the title. That was perfect. It was songs that my father would enjoy listening to or played when he was alive and playing piano. He got sick in 1972. Had this really weird thing go down called encephalitis, which affected his central nervous system.
Sure. Heard of that.
So prior to that, he was a pianist. He worked during the day as a civil engineer. He used to write schematic designs of TVs by hand.
Wow.
Man was like, his mind was just deep, and he was an amazing photographer. Oh yeah, that had it going on. Absolutely amazing. If I think on the back cover, you see a picture of him on the back cover. That's him doing a selfie back in like 1950.
No way.
With the 10-second, timer.
Sure.
You go press the button and go run back there.
and pose.
That had it going on. So it's called Songs My Father Would Dig. It's 11 songs, mostly songs from the 60s, but there's a couple originals in there. I redid a track with me that Marion Meadows and I did called South Beach.
Oh, that's cool. We did
that in an acoustic setting. Richie Goods is playing upright bass, Tony Lewis on drums, and Cafe da Silva, fantastic percussionist from Brazil, gave us a nice quartet. And there's some snippets of the record at citysketchesrecords.com if anybody wants to go check it out. citysketchesrecords.com.
That's your label, right?
That's my label.
That is your label. Mm-hmm. And I am just so proud of you that you own the lion's share of all of your masters. That all by itself is room to celebrate. I mean,
amen.
It's a cause to celebrate, really it is.
It was it helped me during COVID too.
Of course it did.
To be able to have some sustenance during that time when the gigs dried up, because my gigs dried up just like everybody else's.
Yeah.
But thank God it was that that cushion that
to sustain you through.
Yeah, absolutely. It kept things sustainable for me. So I'm very blessed that I made that decision a long time ago.
Yeah.
I like to thank the accounting gods at Atlantic Jazz, the accounting schemers, the Ponzi schemers, for bringing it to my attention.
Bringing it all to your attention, man. I get it.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite on this project?
Equinox is one of the favorites. This is a song that I did called Blue Soul, which was a record that was inspired by Blue and Green, Miles Davis, 1959.
Yeah.
Bill Evans was on piano on that record. And, just a great record. So I wanted to bring back that, because that was kind of the ushering in of the cool jazz era of the 60s. That record kind of really set it off. And people still buy that record. That record has like crazy sales and downloads, man.
Don't you love it when that happens?
Absolutely. 60 years later?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, that was a classic record. Blue and Green, Miles Davis.
Wow.
But, song was called Blue Soul, and it was from that whole era.
It's one of my favorites as well.
Oh, nice.
We love them both. On the contemporary jazz side now, talk about the name of the CD.
It's called It's Okay to Dream.
And it is.
And I think during COVID, we all kind of stayed home and figured out what did we want to do next, or where do we want to be?
Right.
Do we want to be on the beach? Do we want to pursue a business endeavor? Do we have some unfinished business in our life we'd like to get on with? So I try to use titles and words that are inspiring to people, and people can put a thought in their mind what they might want to do. So
connect with. Yeah.
It's okay to dream.
It is. Yeah.
And one of the last couple songs that I did on the record, I teamed up with a friend of mine who I've known for 20 years. We've been talking about working together for 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
Jimmy Delulu, he's out of Mozambique.
Ah.
And met him in South Africa in 2009.
Right.
And we became good friends, stayed in contact, and said, man, we got to do something together.
Right.
So the first track on that album, called Cape Town at Night.
I see that. Yeah.
It's a great story. I had an idea of the song, gave him a melody, kind of gave him a basic, guideline, sent it to him, and he called all his friends down in Mozambique. He called his percussion friend and his bass player and another keyboardist, and he went in and recut the track for me. It was absolutely, when I got it back, I almost cried. It was just so,
Aww.
it was so amazing. That song and Malima, they were both done in Mozambique. But Jimmy Delulu, I hope to collab with him on a live project or something.
It is just so amazing, just the depth of your gift, and then all of what you have inside, how you were able to get it out during the time, like you said, of COVID. And then now we are hearing the result of that between two products. And I want you guys to please go out and make sure that you add this to your collection. I was up, and I shared this with Bob. I was up all night. I actually went to bed with, here they are. I don't know why I didn't see them at first. These on, just listening to you. And they have such royal bass in them.
Oh, really?
And so the quality is just as equally as well. And I could just hear, every instrument, mixed, the way that it should be, but I could just hear the harmonies, and it just was so beautiful. I said, oh my God,
oh, thank you.
I'm not going to get to sleep tonight, am I? I was up all night listening to this music. And so I really would advise all of you guys to go out and get this music. So
before I forget, the record drops June 28th, but
yes.
If you want to get snippets of it, you can go to citysketchesrecords.com or bobbaldwin.com. There's a link there to go check it out.
To hear some of the music. Exactly.
You gotta put the teaser out there.
Man, I tell you. And so the first single, so are you dropping simultaneously the Straight Ahead with the Smooth Jazz, or are you?
And I did some research on who had done that previously.
Yeah.
Bobby Loud, 2000.
Yes.
He had a record called Straight and Smooth.
Straight and Smooth. Yep.
A double album set. I believe it was on Marcus Johnson's, because he was signed to Marcus's label there for a while.
Okay.
So it was a double album set. He had contemporary on one side, straight on the other. And that was the last time I heard anybody do anything like that. But these are two separate pieces. So I wanted to make sure that the Straight Ahead folks got this record.
Smooth Jazz, contemporary.
And my normal fan base gets the other.
And the first single from the contemporary side?
First single we released was I'm Good. That came out in February. And the next one will be Positive Energy.
Positive Energy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So which one would you like for us to premiere tonight?
Ooh.
See, you get a choice.
Wow.
You get a choice.
Okay, well, I think we're gonna go back to the Jimmy Delulu tracks. So let's do Cape Town at Night. Afrobeat, Afropop. You know, the Afropop is starting to bleed into pop music here in the U.S.
It is. It really is.
Know, so we're right in the step with that sound, and you know, some African drums. You know, in America, never hurt anybody. It'll be all right.
He sure has not. It has not. So on the straight ahead side.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's do your favorite. Let's do the John Coltrane. Equinox, baby.
Well, Bob Baldwin, all I have to say is I think you outdone yourself this time around. I don't know what you could do beyond this. I mean, I know you've got some thoughts.
How about 3 records? No.
Oh, man. Come on. You're hurting us.
I'm going to get any sleep if I do that. I'll be like, Sabrina, I can't function no more.
Because you overdid it, sir. You did that. So what about touring? Is that on the ticket? What are we doing this year?
Yes, I'm hoping. We got some dates. If you go to bobbaldwin.com, so currently, as we speak, I'm trying to be green with your release here, so I think it's probably best to just go to the site bobbaldwin.com.
Exactly.
Before I give you a date, and that happened already.
Exactly. Oh man, I tell you. We can't wait to see you out there live.
It's gonna be fun.
It is,
and I'm hoping I'll be able to do some jazz rooms with the trio. In fact, I do have one in Tarrytown, New York, which is in Westchester County, about 20 miles north of New York City, at a jazz room called Jazz Forum Arts, and that'll probably be the place where we launch the gigs for that piece. But yeah, hopefully we'll be doing some jazz festivals as well as the contemporary smooth stuff. So it'll be a fun year.
What is it then that you want the listener to walk away with when they hear you for the first time or the third time or the 100th time? What do you want them to walk away with?
Well, again, I've been inspired by people who have had cancer that use music to heal their body.
Right.
I've heard from servicemen who used to take my CDs into the hole while they're protecting this country. So just to be inspired, just to be told that the music is inspiring, it heals.
Yeah.
It has a purpose. It's not just me out here playing music. What is the music doing when you put it out there? Where is it going to go? Who's it going to touch?
Right.
Who's it going to inspire? Is it going to inspire the next, piano player, young 5-year-old who hears this interview and says, "Oh, okay." Really, if I do nothing else, that's really my goal is to make sure that music has those purposes to inspire, to heal, and to motivate.
I want to thank you all for coming and listening, and Bob, definitely, again, you have touched the audience, all the comments that are there, all those that will come in the replay, and you guys don't forget #replay. Let me know. that you're viewing it on the replay, because that matters. I want to see what my post numbers are. And they're usually really, really good, Bob. It's really weird that during the show, it's so-so, but then after the show is over, the numbers are like crazy.
Really?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, isn't that cool?
I'm very, very proud of you putting this platform together, and I wish you nothing but continued success with it. And by the way, my mother has some Taylors in her family. I need to do a family tree and see if we cousins or something.
We might be just related and don't even know it. All of this time.
Yeah.
And that was my cousin Bob.
Cousin Bobby.
I didn't know. But it is always a joy to chat with you, because you have such depth, and the conversation's always rich. It's always good. And we just appreciate you stopping by and saying hello, and letting us premiere your music, and hearing how it all happened. And you've definitely got to come back, because I know you're gonna throw us a curveball. You're gonna do something we least expect.
Me?
Yes, you.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Mm-hmm. See, now he chooses selective amnesia. What? I don't remember. What is it?
No comprende.
Oh, but everybody, thank you so much for joining us tonight. It's been such a blast chatting with my friend Bob Baldwin. Listen, remember, what you make happen for others, God will make it happen for you. Bob, don't you go away. You hang out for just a second. You guys, I love you. I'll see you next week. And I've got a luscious treat coming up the end of the month. So I'm not going to tell you what that is, but you do not want to miss the Unsigned Artist Reveal the last Monday in this month. You're going to love our guest. Well, you guys, I love you so much. Take care, and we'll see you soon.